NFL, home of the Browns, and this year, the 86th annual NFL Draft. Tonight, all of the speculation will come to an end as the first round unfolds in primetime for the 12th consecutive year. Here now, a live look at the UC Health Training Center. Inside, General Manager George Paton and the Broncos football staff, they are prepared to make a splash tonight as they hold the 9th overall pick. Hello, everyone, and welcome inside the Broncos Media Center. I'm Alexis Perry, and I am so glad to be the first to welcome you to the 2021 NFL Draft. We have such a fun show planned for each and every one of you here tonight. First thing, throughout this hour, you guys will hear from General Manager George Paton, as well as head coach Vic Fangio. Broncos tight end Albert Okwuegbunam, he will share his thoughts on this 2021 draft class, and we'll even hear from a few of your favorite draft experts, including Mike Silver and James Palmer from the NFL Network. Now, don't forget, throughout the night, you guys can tune in and take part in the NFL Draftathon, a virtual fundraiser focusing on real issues facing our hardest hit communities. Visit NFL.com/draftathon now to learn more and donate to the deserving charities supporting the digital divide in education, health disparities, food insecurity, and mental health. One way you can actually support these causes right here within our Colorado community is by heading to dbron.co/draft and bidding on these unique autographed items throughout the Denver Broncos draft auction. All proceeds will benefit Denver Broncos charities, and you have until this Saturday at noon to get your bids in. All right, Broncos country, it is time now to introduce you to your Broncos Draft Live coverage team. I'm so thrilled to be joined by this amazing trio here tonight. Guys, we are just less than an hour until the 2021 NFL Draft. I know you guys have had so much excitement and speculation over the past few months, so I'm sure you're looking forward to it. Am I right, Matt?
Alexis, that's absolutely right. The excitement for me actually started yesterday when the Broncos traded for Teddy Bridgewater, George Paton getting competition at the quarterback position that Broncos fans were promised. I had a chance to talk with Mike Silver about what that possibly could mean for the Broncos' options at possibly trading back. We'll get to that conversation in a little bit. Also had a chance to talk with Albert Okwuegbunam, a member of that 2020 rookie class. 1 year removed from the draft process. We'll get his thoughts, plus an update on his rehab. But for the guys getting drafted this year, let's head over to the draft war room. Just outside of it is our own Phil Milani. Phil, what's going on?
Yeah, Matt, if you're really quiet, you might be able to hear what's going on right inside there. No, I'm just joking. But, hey, a lot of rumors swirling around over the last hour or so. Not sure what the Broncos are going to do at 9. One thing's for sure is that they could make a franchise-altering change today with a draft pick coming in. The draft lead-up process has been so different this year. No combine, no in-person facility visits here, yet the Broncos are in a position where they could really make a move that changes the future of this franchise. And, hey, that's what's exciting about the draft. Sydney?
You guys heard them. We are so excited. It is finally draft night. We've been waiting so long in anticipation to see who the newest member of Broncos country will be. And we know all of you at home are just as excited. So please share your thoughts and reaction leading up to the draft tonight on social media using the hashtag Broncos Draft. I'll be highlighting some of your tweets on the show later on, so be on the lookout. Alexis?
Thanks so much, Sydney. We are looking forward to hearing what Broncos country has to say, that is for sure. But I have a feeling everyone at home is excited to hear what these two guys have to say. We have former Broncos safety, Super Bowl 50 champion, special teams captain, the man, David Bruton, here with us tonight. And, of course, the Hall of Famer, Steve Atwater. You guys, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Before we delve too deep into this year's class, first, let's take a look at where this team stands heading into the 2021 draft. In his first free agency window as general manager, George Paton made some big moves. First, by parting ways with guys like running back Philip Lindsay, cornerback A.J. Boye, and defensive lineman Jarrell Casey. Then, he went on to shore up those positions by adding running back Mike Boone and cornerbacks Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby. Then he re-signed Shelby Harris to a 3-year deal. He inked Justin Simmons to a 4-year contract, all the while picking up Von Miller's option for 2021. Then, like Matt Boyer just mentioned, the most recent acquisition came just yesterday as the Denver Broncos agreed to terms to acquire quarterback Teddy Bridgewater from the Carolina Panthers in exchange for their 2021 6th-round pick. So, guys, as we take a look at his 2020 season statistics with the Panthers, what was your immediate reaction when you heard that Teddy Bridgewater was now a member of the Denver Broncos?
A little bit of excitement came over me, because Teddy has shown promise from Minnesota, when he was in New Orleans. He had some good games in Carolina. I think his veteran leadership and his playmaking ability will be something that Broncos country would absolutely admire and love.
Yeah, I got to be honest. When I first heard the information, I was a little bit worried just because he had the leg injury. Although that was several years ago, he's come back from it. He's played well with his leg, but his passing abilities and even his ability to scramble around has been very, very good. So I'm happy that we have him, and I think he's going to be a good addition to this football team.
How do you guys think this Teddy Bridgewater acquisition impacts the Broncos' draft night priorities here, especially for round one?
Well, I think we're still are going to be in the running for a quarterback, even though we have definitely improved the room, made the room better with another quarterback with some experience. But I don't think that it takes us out of the quarterback market. I think that if we were to get to 9 and one of the quarterbacks that George Payton has in mind, or if one of those quarterbacks is still there, I don't think he'll be afraid to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I don't think there's a rush for a quarterback now. And if a quarterback, like Steve was saying, is available at pick 9, then I think we're going to jump on that. And again, that's just going to bring more competition to the room and have the cream rise to the top.
Well, after spending 24 years in the league as a personnel executive, you guys, George Payton, he enters this 2021 NFL draft holding the reins for the very first time. We're all so excited for this. But the cool thing lately has been George Payton. He has opened the doors. He has given us a glimpse into what it's been like preparing for the 2021 NFL draft. So here is a look behind the Broncos, like I mentioned, with George Payton.
What would be the vision if we draft this guy? First year one as a rookie, top 10 pick. How do we get him on the field?
You have to have a vision. We ask the coaches, what's your vision for this player? If the player is really talented and doesn't fit the coach's vision, and then it's not going to work. So it's really important you have communication with the Vic, all the coaches, all the scouts, and that's what we're going through now.
I think this guy's, like I said in the first line, he's a backup, or if he's starting for you, you're always going to be looking to replace.
So you do want to have a vision to where the player will have some immediate impact on your team, and that's part of the process. So you do want to draft the best player available, but need does fit in there also a little bit more than it used to in the old days.
Love to have him. I think he's obviously quickly an initial backup that will become a starter.
If we needed this guy to start day one, he could.
The higher you pick, the need factor is less prevalent, but still talked about. But picking at 9, you should be able to get a really good player, and one that should be able to play immediately for you in some shape or form.
He comes in, he starts, he upgrades us. Solid. This guy's really good. He would help us.
I think we've done a lot of work. We've dissected every player, been detailed in our preparation. We've had multiple looks at each and every player. Hope to add 7 or 8, 9 good players in this draft.
I've really been happy with our draft preparation. Been a lot of good energy in the building. People get to the work early, staying late. It's been a collaborative effort with Vic, John, the college scouts, the pro scouts, the coaches, and really everyone in the building. You take something from everyone you've been around, and they all have certain strengths, and just the collaboration, just the human being, the detail. You take a little bit of everyone and you try to use it. It's been an all-hands-on-deck approach, so I've been impressed with the whole building and the work they put in, and we're excited for the draft.
Now for a real-time update as to how the Broncos general manager is feeling heading into his first draft at the helm. Our very own Phil Milani is standing by with George Payton.
George, we're less than an hour away from the start of your first NFL draft as a general manager. How are you feeling?
Feel great. Feel really good. We're in a good spot. We're at pick number 9, which is, it's a lot of teams are calling us on the pick, and so we're in prime position to take an impact player, or we could trade back, or we could move up. So we're in a really good spot.
How have you spent today? You mentioned teams are calling. Has it been hectic?
Not too bad. The phone's been ringing as of late, but went on a nice long jog, a nice walk, had a nice meal, and now we're ready to roll.
You didn't wait to get the fireworks going. You got them going yesterday. How did you feel about bringing in a player like Teddy Bridgewater?
You know, our goal was to bring in competition for Drew, and you know how I feel about Drew, and we wanted to bring in competition, and we think that will help Drew, and it will help Teddy, and in result, it will help our football team.
Change your mindset for tonight at all?
No, it doesn't. You know, we're going to take the best player available, which I've said the whole time, and we plan on doing that.
George, thank you so much for your time. Alexis, back to you.
Thanks so much, Phil. You know, as of now, the Denver Broncos hold 8 total picks in this year's draft. And like George mentioned, the 9th overall here tonight. While the rumor mill is churning out a quarterback to the Denver Broncos, I do have to say this class is stacked with talent that reaches far beyond the quarterback position. And the odds are by the end of tonight, one of these future stars will be a Denver Bronco.
Jones goes to the end zone. Oh, what a catch! Devontae Smith.
Take the jet sweep, lands up the middle, angling forward, cross midfield, breaks the tackle. There goes Trey in the open field. A stiff arm, 20, 10, Trotter the Pepper.
Trask on the slant, touchdown again. Pitts. Swarmed by Mr. Everywhere, Micah Parsons. Is it a fumble? Miami falls with the football.
Sidearms it, and picked off by J.C. Horn, taking it back.
Quiddy Pay leading the way for Michigan.
Loose looking for Gordon and intercepted. Galen Farley. Sanders into the end zone in traffic. Picked off. One-handed by Meering.
David Bruton's Notre Dame represented in that video.
Yes.
I love it. Arkansas, not yet.
All right, that's all right.
Maybe in the later rounds. Maybe in the later rounds.
We'll see 4, 5, 6, or 7. It's all right.
You guys, no matter what happens tonight, the Broncos are likely to come away with a big-time playmaker. So as you watch that video, you know, hypothetically, if you could choose any of those guys to wear orange and blue this season, who would it be?
I'm going with Notre Dame. I like Jeremiah. I really do. I like his game, and I know
at 9.
She didn't say at 9. She said one anywhere
Okay.
at 9.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
I'm with you on
I
that.
shoot my shot at 9. Like I let him play.
All right.
But no, what me and Steve were talking about earlier is like he brings that depth at safety, and he can play linebacker. Kind of similar to what I did when I was playing here in our Super Bowl year in 2015. I'd come in, play safety, but I'd move down there as a dime linebacker, give us a little more versatility with pass coverage and with different blitz packages.
Yeah.
So it just opens the whole gamut of what we can throw at an offense when you have somebody as versatile as Jeremiah.
Steve is passionate that he is not a linebacker.
I do like him as a player, though.
Yes.
And he's going to play somewhere on the field. At whatever team he goes to, whatever position they draft him for, he's going to be one of the 11 players on the field for a majority of the time. I do love his game. I love his physicality. But my only thing is, with his size, if a team decides that they're going to try and pound the ball on you and they're going to use those offensive linemen to try to get up on the linebackers, I just don't know how he'll hold up with that.
Well, we'll see. Those Notre Dame players, we're pretty dang tough.
Okay, I agree with that. I'm
not
questioning the toughness.
I love it. You guys, I know Broncos country is already planning on this, but be sure to tune in tonight to the NFL Draft. You guys, all things start tonight at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Of course, Friday things will get going at 5 o'clock, Saturday 10 a.m. So set your alarms, pour yourself a cup of coffee on Saturday for those 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. You guys can tune in to ESPN, ABC, or the NFL Network. We hope you guys will, and then let us know how you feel about it. We cannot wait to see how the next 3 days unfold and who the newest members of the Denver Broncos will be. But with a little bit more on last year's class, here's Sydney Jones.
Yeah, Alexis, I thought it would be fun to look back at the 2020 draft class after all the anticipation we've had leading up to this year. And check out some of the guys who made an immediate impact on the field last year. You know, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Lloyd Cushenberry, just to name a few. I was able to catch up with Lloyd a little bit earlier this week, and he told me the one word he would use to describe the 2020 draft class was unique.
With the 15th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry John Elway, congratulations. You're going to be a Bronco. We're looking forward to it.
15-10-5, touchdown Denver, 92 yards. Jerry Jeudy comes back.
You know, for me to get that call and I seen it pop up on my phone was, you know, heart drop.
Well, we're happy to have you, man. Excited.
Taking a deep shot, wide open is Hamler, and it's a touchdown! KJ Hamler!
That night was crazy, yo. We were all at my sister's house, my whole family, just sitting, waiting on the couch, just watching the first 2 nights for day 1 and then half of day 2. But it was a great moment to spend with my family. They were all excited. It was just an emotional moment.
It really is a dream come true. You know, when I seen the area code pop up on my phone, it just, my heart dropped because I feel like that's a perfect place for me.
Albert. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
John Elway, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Coach. Thank you so much.
You bet. Well, congratulations.
We have a great class. We got a bright future. And, you know, it didn't start off the way we wanted to, but I know we all working our butts off to, you know, just prove ourselves right and just get this organization to the right path once again.
A draft class we won't forget, but I can't wait to see who will make up this year's class. Alexis, I think it's going to be a good one.
It is going to be a good one, Sydney, that is for sure. But now let's go ahead and send it down to Matt Boyer, who is standing by with the Broncos' 4th round, 118th overall selection in 2020. Broncos tight end Albert Okwuegbunam.
That's right, Alexis. No longer a rookie, officially a sophomore. Albert, before we get to draft news, the Broncos made some news yesterday trading for Teddy Bridgewater. What do you think Teddy's going to bring when he comes to Denver here in the next couple of weeks?
You know, biggest thing with adding him, I feel like the immediate impact is just that veteran presence in the QB room. You know, adding immediate depth and, you know, competitiveness. It's going to be good for the whole room, you know, and I feel like that's what, you know, our team's most excited about and how we're going to benefit the most immediately.
A lot of excitement around that news, a lot of excitement around the draft this weekend. You are only 1 year removed from your draft experience, so a year later, what memory stands out to you the most about getting that call from Denver?
Man, really, draft day it's a special day. You know, it's filled with a lot of emotions, a lot of highs and lows, stressful. But, you know, ultimately, I can easily say it was the best day of my life, you know, getting that call. You know, it's huge relief. You know, there's about 32 cities, you know, you don't know where you're going to end up. But, you know, it's a huge relief and just the amount of excitement, motivation, and just love that you feel that day. It was a great experience.
You came in your rookie class, Albert, with a lot of offensive skill position guys like Jerry, KJ, Tyree. What was it like your first year kind of with those guys? Did you guys lean on each other a lot? What was that first year like with that group?
I mean, it was definitely different. You know, with COVID, we didn't actually meet face to face until we got to training camp. You know, a lot of us, you know, hadn't met each other, hadn't really talked to each other. So, but immediately we got in training camp, all the rookies were confined to a locker room just because we couldn't all be with the team, just because, you know, COVID protocols and stuff like that. So we became really close. You know, just experiencing things together, going through things together. You know, and like you said, you know, just a lot of us coming in were expected to, you know, contribute early and you know, create a lot of things offensively. So I feel like we were really special for each other. We made a lot of tight bonds, and it was really good.
I know 2020 didn't end the way you wanted it to with the knee injury. It looked like you were coming on really strong, and then you have that setback. Take me through the rehab process. How's it going, and how excited are you for 2021? How optimistic are you?
It's going great. You know what I mean? No major setbacks. It's just a lengthy process, you know, getting better day by day, week by week. But, you know, definitely confident that I'm going to be back better than I was last season. And I'm extremely excited, you know, coming out my rookie season, obviously got cut short, didn't accomplish everything that I would have liked to, but, the silver lining from that is the small sample size that I did have, I was able to accomplish some good things, make some big plays. So, coming to this next year, it's no longer about trying to prove myself to the coaches or my teammates. It's all about just trying to be the best, being the best tight end in the league. That's the focus. So I feel like that's the biggest thing I'm excited about is just, focusing on, helping the team, and being the best all-around tight end I can be.
I mentioned it to you beforehand. This weekend is a lot less stressful than the one last year that you experienced on draft weekend. But for the guys that are coming in here, what would you like to see the Broncos do in the draft? I know Missouri's got a couple of guys on defense. Nick Bolton looking pretty strong.
Exactly.
What would you like to see happen for Denver and some of your Missouri guys this weekend?
Obviously, I would love to be, for us to draft a Missouri guy. Nick Bolton's a great player. He's a great presence on and off the field. Tough kid, big playmaker. But, ultimately, it's tough. I feel like as a team, we're really balanced. There's no real glaring need, offensively or defensively. And I'm honestly really excited to see what we do. We hold the 9th overall pick. A lot of options we have. I'm excited to see, the guy we get or the guys we get. Just the way they can help our team. And, either way, I'm just excited about today.
I know Broncos fans are excited. You're excited. I know Broncos fans are very excited to see you back on the field in 2021. Continued success with your rehab, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me.
All right, Alexis, let's send it back upstairs to you.
Thanks so much, Matt. Great stuff with Alberto there. Well, before the draft gets underway, now would be a good time to set your DVR to record all of our Broncos television programming, which airs every weeknight at 6:30 on KTVD Channel 20. I start us off every Monday with Broncos Beat. This week, 3 of your favorite beat reporters will help me take a deep dive into the Broncos 2021 draft class. Then, Tuesday through Thursday, our friends Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Albright will bring Broncos Country Tonight on KOA to your television. Then on Friday, Matt Boyer and Steve Atwater will get you set heading into the weekend with Broncos Weekend. All of these shows at 6:30 on KTVD Channel 20 in Denver, or you can look for them on YouTube at 7 o'clock Mountain Time each and every weeknight. Also, be sure to keep checking into our virtual war room presented by Bud Light on denverbroncos.com and the Broncos social channels over the next few days for all the Broncos draft content your heart could ever desire. That's at Broncos on Twitter and Instagram. Search Denver Broncos on YouTube and Facebook, or head to denverbroncos.com. Well, tonight, the draft will take place across all of the most iconic places in Cleveland, Ohio, which will be so cool to watch. But I do have to say, since the draft has never taken place in Cleveland, we can't really show you or talk about any of these iconic draft moments in Broncos history, but something that we can do is show you some iconic Broncos on-field moments. I think you guys probably remember a few of these. Let's look back all the way to 1971, the Broncos' first-round pick to ever sign with the team. Running back Floyd Little ran for over 100 yards on 25 carries to help the team record just their second shutout win in franchise history. Most recently, in 2015, while visiting the Browns, you may remember Emmanuel Sanders, his 75-yard touchdown catch from Peyton Manning in the fourth quarter, which set up a Brandon McManus field goal in overtime to win that one 26-23. But of course, the most iconic of them all, the 1986 AFC Championship game and the drive.
The game appeared to be over after the ensuing kickoff was downed at the Broncos' own 1.5-yard line with less than 6 minutes left in regulation.
Elway in the end zone and throwing it. It's complete. Winder dives out to the 7-yard line. The play fake, runs up in the pocket, running left. Johns across the 20 and out to the 26-yard line. Elway to pass on first down. The pass for Sewell. Got it and keeps it at the 48-yard line, and was he hammered. Snap Elway running to his right, trying to direct traffic. He's at the 10. Johns at the 5 and skids out of bounds. Broncos at the Cleveland 5. Third down and a yard. The snap to Elway. The look, the throw. Touchdown! John Elway has just thrown the touchdown to Mark Jackson. 5 yards, 98.5-yard drive. This will be a 32-yard drive to win it in overtime. Ball is down. Carlos's kick is on the way. And it is gone! The Denver Broncos have come from behind to win it in overtime. The Broncos are going to the Super Bowl because they earned the trip. Man, oh man, I wish I were alive
for the drive.
What a time to be alive,
right? 92. I just missed it. What, you were 87?
July 87, so I missed it by 6 months.
We just missed it.
Yep.
Great stuff. Hey, speaking of that Cleveland game, though, in 2015, you had an interception in that game, am I right?
I think so. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
One of 3 career interceptions in Cleveland. Do you remember that one?
I actually do. I remember the ball being thrown on their sideline. It was just a duck. I was over here covering the tight end and went up and got it and got to celebrate and win and just vibe out with the team.
Everybody loves the good duck, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes, it's mine. Cool.
Right, exactly. Well, there's a chance that play may have never happened. That win might have never happened if you weren't out there. And you wouldn't have maybe won the Lombardi Trophy back in 2015 with this team if you weren't drafted 114th overall back in 2009. So take us back to those months leading up to the draft. What was that process like for you? And what was that moment like when you finally got the call?
It was fun. It was fun to actually, live somewhere else outside of the Midwest. I never lived in Cali or visited Cali aside from playing games, so that's where I did my training and had a great opportunity to train with some great players like Clay Matthews and Ray Maluga and other guys of that nature, and just kind of just hone in and build up on my craft. But once we got real close to the combine, and having to travel to these teams, the Broncos actually, I felt like they spent a lot on me to get out here and make sure I got a chance to see the facility and meet the coaches. And man, that was a hectic day where they had to book me a flight in the morning, missed it. They had to book me another flight, got me out here to meet McDaniels and all the other coaches.
Yeah.
Flew me out the same night. The flight to Dayton was canceled. They tried to book me to one in Cincinnati. That flight was canceled. I had to stay the night in Chicago, and then they finally got me to Cincinnati the next morning. My dad always said, you're going to the Broncos once that happened. Like, there was no question about it. They spent all that money and all that time on the Broncos, and just waiting for that call was amazing, and finally getting to hear a coach say, hey, how would you like to be a Denver Bronco?
Okay, really quick, can you show us your Super Bowl ring?
Absolutely.
Give us that, baby.
Absolutely.
Tom, can we get a shot of that? Oh, yeah, 2015 Super Bowl champion right here. I am curious, in your life, in your football life, what was the better feeling? Slipping on that ring or hearing your name called on draft night? That's
a tough one, because the Super Bowl's a little bittersweet for me, because I broke my leg in December of 2015 and didn't get a chance to play. But honestly, I'd say the Super Bowl is gonna take precedence. It's gonna take the win for sure.
Okay, well, over the next 259 selections, I'm sure every single one of these guys just dreams of one day having that moment, feeling that feeling of what it's like to be a Super Bowl champion. But in order to do that, this Broncos team, they're going to need to add some depth in order to become contenders yet again. So where would you like to see depth added on this roster?
I'd like to see depth added to the secondary.
Okay.
I think our 2015 season, we had a lot of competition throughout the backfield, whether it was at corners, whether it was at nickel, whether it was at safety, and day in and day out, we just got better. We just pushed each other, and it's a passing league, so you have to be able to defend the ball when it's in the air, and I think we've done a good job thus far. Signing Justin, bringing Kareem back, getting those corners here, and to buy into the system. I think we've definitely made strides to improving that secondary.
Give me one name of one DB you want to see on this roster.
Oh, out of this class?
Yeah.
I like Horn.
Okay.
I like Horn.
Okay, I like it. We're going to hold you to that. Maybe we'll be talking about him a little bit later.
Sounds good.
You guys, I know my friends from Broncos country tonight. They have to share their thoughts on what the Broncos should do tonight in round 1. So let's send it down to Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Albright for a quick update. Ryan?
All right, thanks, Alexis. Appreciate it. It is draft night. We're all very excited here. And, Ben, we're going to start with your mock draft that you put out yesterday, much anticipated mock draft. And you had an offensive tackle actually going to the Broncos at pick number 9 based on the way the board ultimately fell.
Well, we knew the Teddy Bridgewater trade was going to get done a little bit in advance. We knew that a couple hours in advance. Sorry I couldn't put that out there at the time before the mock draft. But I think people started figuring out once they saw that the mock draft had Rashawn Slater going there number 9. To the Denver Broncos. I still think that the idea of a trade back is in play, but if they are unable to do so, Rashawn Slater right there at 9 seems to make the pick. Hopefully he lasts a little bit longer in Denver than the last time they drafted a tackle out of Northwestern.
Good pull there. I like that. Let's go back to the pick number 9, though, and we'll talk about trade backs and all that. But if the Broncos are considering quarterbacks still, if one is around that range, would they consider pulling the trigger even with the acquisition of Teddy Bridgewater?
I think that is very unlikely. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I would say it's improbable at this point. I know that people are still on that. I can tell you, I know per sources that the idea and these things that were reported about trading up for a quarterback were false. That was not something that they were considering. So if the quarterback falls in their lap, I still do think that that's something that could happen, but I sincerely doubt that there is any kind of trade up per multiple team sources.
Well, and you've said for a long time that you thought that Trey Lance was probably the guy for the Broncos that they'd be most interested in. And per your mock, you have him going 3 overall. We'll see if that ends up standing. But you have him going 3 overall to San Francisco, which, again, would almost immediately sort of take the Broncos out of range of at least who they wanted.
Well, right. And we don't know that Trey Lance is necessarily going to go 3. I mocked him there. We'll see how that shakes out.
I said per your mock.
Could be Mac Jones. Yeah. Could be Mac Jones. I know a lot of people.
McCorkle?
McCorkle. A lot of people talking about that, but it could be Mac Jones. I just think that the quarterbacks are not going to fall the way that they want it to fall, and I think they're good. I mean, you've got Drew Lock and you've got Teddy Bridgewater. You're good enough at that point, and this team, as set, can win. It's time to lay the foundation for what George Paton wants to do, and if he's able to trade back and accumulate picks for the future and keep that ball rolling, and hey, so be it.
Okay, so trade back. Let's talk about that. Earlier this week, we had discussions about pick number 18 with Miami. We already know they had conversations with Miami about pick number 6, or at least Miami talked to them about going up to number 6. What about going back to 18, and what does that look like for what the Broncos might be able to get in return?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you want to do it. George Paton has had a philosophy that he wants to accumulate a lot of late-round picks, so you may not see like 2 upper-end picks. You might see a move back to 18 and then a bunch of later-round picks. As opposed to maybe a traditional setup in a trade. So that's the way I would look at that. And then if you move back to 18, it puts the Broncos right in the sweet spot for an off-ball linebacker, a guy like Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. I think that's kind of versatile, could fit the edge and the off-ball. So and by the way, I mocked him to Miami at 18 just to kind of cover all my bases.
I saw what you did there.
So.
I saw what you did there. There is a little bit of method to your madness. I can appreciate that.
There are levels to this game.
No doubt about it. Well, and again, for the Broncos, it kind of builds things up because if Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, who basically are kind of on a 1-year prove-it deal, I know Drew's got an extra year after this, but they're basically on a 1-year deal. You could add draft capital for next year, put yourself in position to take a run at a quarterback if you really want to do it that way.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of been the plan. This is what we've laid out from the beginning, the fact that they were going to take a couple of corners in free agency, the fact that they wanted to bring in veteran competition. They want to build the war chest and then look forward to make sure they're getting their guy and not just some guy on a lollipop deal on a 1-year out of COVID. So I think a level when a plan comes together.
Level when a plan comes together. George Paton said this is what they were going to do at minimum all along. He was able to accomplish it. Now we get to find out what they're going to do in the first round. Alexis, we'll send it right back to you.
Thanks so much, Ryan. And big thank you to all of you for tuning in to Broncos Draft Live, presented by Bud Light. It's always nice to hear from those guys. If you don't already, be sure to tune in to Broncos Country tonight on KOA Radio from 7 to 10 every weeknight and catch their 30-minute snippet of their show on KTVD Channel 20. But if it wasn't enough already catching up with those 2 legends, it's time now to hear from another legend. It is Mike Silver from the NFL Network, and he is standing by with Matt Boyer.
Thank you, Alexis. Yeah, we should have known that news would be breaking with Mike Silver in town. And sure enough, Mike, less than 24 hours after you land in Denver, Teddy Bridgewater is a Bronco. I think he's going to figure into this question that I'm about to ask you, but why do you think the Broncos are a compelling team to watch on draft night? Is it the quarterback position, or do you think it's more than that?
Well, first of all, I think the most noteworthy thing is that James Palmer, my colleague, left town and then news broke. And, so I, of course, was able to swoop in for the glory. And it was amazing because Wednesday morning I was talking about the potential for a Teddy Bridgewater deal on NFL Network. And like 5 minutes later, it got announced. So I thank the football gods and George Paton and Scott Fitterer for the timing on that. But yeah, I was able to convince my bosses to send me here, and something we've been talking about for weeks. And what I felt was so much intrigue about the quarterback position, which I think still remains in play as they sit here with the 9th pick. Possibility to trade up. ostensibly for a quarterback, though I think some of that has been eased now with the Bridgewater trade. Definite potential for trading down. George Paton's been getting a lot of calls. He thinks 3 or 4 teams are real serious about it, and, not sure how far down they'd move, but he's looking for some more ammo. And, you take a first-time GM in George Paton, who's got so much respect around the league. A lot of people are excited about that. Vic Fangio, who very much knows that he's under a lot of pressure to produce this coming year. And then John Elway, a legend who kicked himself upstairs. So you put all of that together, and it's pretty exciting.
Well, you just mentioned George Paton's first season as general manager. He's a bit of a mystery because we don't really have much of a track record to lean on with him in the big chair. Rick Spielman, his former boss, even said earlier this week he'd like to know what the heck George is going to do this week during the draft. So in your conversations with George and talking with George, how do you think he's going to approach his first draft?
I think he's going to live in the moment. And, he's not a guy who projects, swagger or like he's lording over you how great he is, but he has a quiet confidence, and it's deserved. If you're sitting at 9 and there's do we trade up to 7 or 8 because we really want this guy? He'll be able to assess that in real time. If you stay at 9, okay, we could take, if this quarterback's there, or maybe we take a corner, or maybe somebody else, he'll be able to assess that. And I think most important, if he does stay at 9, there will be trade down offers that, maybe the framework's in place, but it hasn't been completely hammered out. And then in real time, he'll be able to, I think, confidently assess how far am I willing to go down and how much of a haul am I getting.
You referenced at the top, Mike, trading down, definitely a possibility tonight for the Broncos. If they were to move back, quarterback likely off the table at that point. So what's your sense for what positions might be available or appealing to the Broncos at that point if they found the right deal to move back but stay in the first round?
Yeah, it just depends how far back, right? So I think the way they view it is, look, our depth chart, we feel pretty good about the starters. The chance to get another corner at a premium corner is super enticing. An offensive tackle, I think, would be a super enticing thing. Those are premium positions. And you're balancing, wow, could we get a game changer? Because we're at 9, and they certainly think they can at 9, no matter how it falls. Or do we just, try to get more picks, more people, and build this thing?
Well, Mike, I got to tell you, if the first 24 hours, your first 24 hours in Denver are any indication as to what we're going to expect, I can't wait to see what you report next. Best of luck tonight as we get underway with the draft.
Well, I'm really excited about it. I think, there's going to be a lot of drama potentially starting with that number 3 pick, which, some of us think we know which way it's going, but there's a lot of noise today that, indicates maybe it's not going that way. So for whatever reason, the 49ers have enjoyed the secrecy part of it. So I don't think they needed to keep it a secret, but they have, and it's going to be really fun to see how the dominoes fall.
Awesome. Can't wait to see it all. Alexis, let's head back upstairs to you at the desk.
Thanks so much, Matt. Yeah, it would be nice to know if the San Francisco 49ers are taking Mac Jones, but let's be real. The more drama, the better for Broncos Twitter and #Broncos. Am I right, Sydney?
Absolutely, Alexis. I've been connected with our fans on social media all night long, and I have to say, you all at home are just as pumped as we are down here at the team headquarters. So let's take a look at some of the tweets you guys have been sending us. You'll see it here on your screen. This one's from OK Swoosh, and he said, if Fields isn't there, he wants us to trade back, get a corner, tackle, and then maybe get some draft capital. This next one is from On Air with Mike. He said, he's still sticking with Trey Lance here, even though Patrick Surtain would be amazing. We'll see On Air with Mike. Next one here. This is from B. Frishy. He said, it's draft day, baby. He's just as excited as we are. He feels like a kid on Christmas morning. I love that. And this one is from Kyle Banks. He says, I really hope the Broncos double down on drafting inside linebackers. He wouldn't be mad if Micah Parsons is the pick at 9. I don't think I'd be mad either, Kyle. This one's from TC McPhee. He said, I'm all in on Micah Parsons as well. He said, but if somehow Kyle Pitts or Penny Sewell are somehow still on the board at 9, they've got to pull that trigger. We will see. Broncos country, it's been so fun seeing what you guys have to say on Twitter. So keep tweeting at us using the #Broncos draft. I'll keep looking the rest of the night. Back to you, Alexis.
Thanks so much, Sydney. I am convinced that it will be Penny Sewell to the Atlanta Falcons at number 4. I do not think he will be there at 9, friends. But at the end of the day, I just know that Broncos country just wants to see this team draft a guy who can help this team get back to its historically winning ways. While the Broncos have only picked in the top 10 7 times since the merger, each guy made a significant impact on this franchise. 5 of the 7 went on to earn Pro Bowl appearances. Floyd Little, better known as the franchise, was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And even Chris Hinton, who never played a single snap for the Denver Broncos, played a huge role for this team, given the fact that he was the one traded to Baltimore in exchange for John Elway. So maybe this is the year for the Broncos to draft their next franchise quarterback. Let's bring in James Palmer, better known as Jimmy Palm Trees, this week, coming at us from Jacksonville, Florida. Man, you look great. Sunny tan. How are things going down there, James?
Oh, we got Halsey going behind me. I'm not sure if we got the rights to this music for this broadcast, Alexis, or not, but we're having a great time down here. Not a lot of intrigue about what's going to happen at number 1, but obviously the expectations through the roof for Trevor Lawrence to come to Jacksonville. Yeah, a lot of intrigue on what the Broncos are going to do now. You know, you made a point on Broncos Beat earlier this week to say that George Paton was not done yet. Keep an eye out for what's going on with Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina. Is it safe to say that you knew something that we didn't? Yeah, I've known that for a long time. I'm not going to lie. You know what? I don't think I'm alone either. I think there was quite a few people that knew there was dialogue going on between Teddy Bridgewater's representation when he was first allowed to start speaking to other teams, Alexis, and Denver was obviously a team that would be on his list. Now, I was curious if this was something that was going to happen maybe after the draft, and maybe he had a chance to sway everybody's mind, saying, I'd like to see what happens with Denver at number 9 in terms of a quarterback. If they don't draft one or do draft one, then I'd prefer to be there. But I do think he's coming in to compete. I think this is a great addition and another great sign. And I tweeted this out. And George Paton has had a very good offseason. I think his patients have proved that he knows what he's doing. And this is just another move with getting Teddy Bridgewater for $3 million, which you pay a lot of backups in the NFL to come and compete for a starting job to improve the position. If he wins the job, great. If he loses the job and it's Drew Lock that he loses it to, well, great. You have a veteran in the room, and that means Drew Lock played really well in training camp and made a jump in his 3rd year. Really, and then if a quarterback comes in at the 9th spot and Teddy Bridgewater is competing with him or all 3 quarterbacks are there. Anyway, this just sets them up for a much better situation in that quarterback room in 2021 than they had in 2020. Another really, really good move for George Paton.
We've talked a lot about the Broncos moving up to number 4, possibly number 7 with Detroit to get Justin Fields or one of these future stars. So how do you think that this move really impacts the Broncos draft plans here tonight?
I think the interesting part about it, and this is from, digging I've done over the last several months, people would think that getting Teddy Bridgewater would mean maybe the thought process of quarterback at 9 is now smaller. The window closes a little bit. I think it actually goes the opposite direction. I think now any of the 3 quarterbacks that we think could be available, right? Because we do know it's going to be Trevor Lawrence and then it's going to be Zach Wilson. But whether it's Mac Jones, Trey Lance, or Justin Fields, I think now you have the option for all 3. I kept hearing for a while that maybe Trey Lance wasn't a great fit for the Denver Broncos. And a lot of that was because they believe he is so raw. They think he has a great football IQ, super high ceiling. But who does he learn behind? Where's the veteran quarterback? Well, now the veteran quarterback's there in Teddy Bridgewater. So I think this puts Trey Lance back in play at 9 if he's available, because now they can look at each one of these 3 quarterbacks as a potential chance because Bridgewater's now in play. You have somebody to come out there and play 2021 if you go with Trey Lance, because now you can rest him, you can sit him, you can allow him to grow and learn. I think the quarterback window now opens for the Denver Broncos. They're more flexible after the Teddy Bridgewater deal. Flexible.
We're going to have to add that to the Broncos Beat bingo board, that's for sure. Speaking of Broncos Beat, okay, I gave you the opportunity to pick one guy, no strings attached, any guy in the first round that the Denver Broncos would choose. You said Justin Fields on Monday. Do you stand by that? I'm giving you a chance to change your pick right now.
No. I stand by Justin Fields. I really do. There's enough teams I've talked to that believe he is the second best quarterback in this draft. I think the ceiling, just like Trey Lance's, is extremely high. But my thought process would be he is definitely not as raw as Trey Lance is. I think he could come in, and if he had to sit for a year, I think the growth would happen much quicker maybe. And that's just a guess. No slight to Trey Lance. There's just so much to like about Justin Fields that he checks a lot of boxes. This is a guy that was recruited to Harvard. I'm not sure why people were questioning his intelligence during this draft process. But a lot of crazy things are thrown out there. I'm sticking with Justin Fields. If he's available at 9, I think you have to pull the trigger.
You know what? I will never question your intelligence ever again either. Thank you so much. Jimmy Palm Trees coming at us from Jacksonville, Florida. James Palmer, NFL Network.
Beautiful down here.
Appreciate you. I know, it looks great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Have fun. Well, let's bring in James Palmer, better known as Jimmy. Well, don't forget that during the draft, you could take part in the NFL Draft-a-thon, a virtual fundraiser focusing on real issues facing our hardest hit communities. Visit NFL.com/draftathon now to learn more and donate to deserving charities supporting the digital divide in education, health disparities, food insecurity, and mental health, including suicide awareness. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, you can actually support these causes right here within our Colorado community by heading to dbron.co/draft and bidding on unique autographed items and memorabilia connected to the Denver Broncos past and present through the Denver Broncos draft auction. All the proceeds will benefit Denver Broncos charities, and you have until this Saturday at noon to get your bids in. They actually have an authentic autographed Steve Atwater white panel football available for bidding. I think the last time I checked, it was only going for $400 right now. So be sure to go to dbron.co/draft and get a bid in on that. Speaking of the Hall of Famer, he and David Bruton are standing by with Matt Boyer. Matt?
Thank you, Alexis. Yeah, we got to get that number up, Steve. $400, man. We got to. Come on, Broncos country. I'm just trying to play emergency nickel corner here, Broncos country, next to these two great safeties. Guys, I want to talk DBs with you a little bit here. First of all, give me a name real quick. The best DB you ever played with as a Bronco. Steve, let's start with you.
Oh, man, it's got to be DS-49.
There we go.
You know, the intensity with which he played with, the courage, the heart, it was just crazy. It was off the charts.
David?
Champ.
The gold jacket?
Yeah, champ, 110%. You know, just a savvy veteran, knew how to play press coverage, read the quarterback from playing off, and was able to defend the deep ball.
Let's talk about some of these guys that are going to be looking to be just as great coming in this year's draft class. I want to focus first on the cornerbacks. Steve, start with you. Patrick Surtain, I know we've had conversations about him. Looks like the top corner in the draft. What do you see with him? What would he bring to the Broncos DB room that might not already be there?
Well, he's a guy, he's a taller cornerback. He's physical at the line of scrimmage. He can run with you. He can jump. He's got great technique. His dad played in the NFL, so he knows all the tricks of the trade. So I don't think you could go wrong with him. He'll be a guy that can come in and play for you right away.
David, real quick, give me a little bit of J.C. Horn. I know you really like him as a guy in this year's draft.
Absolutely. I like the fact that he's physical at the line, and he's a press coverage type of guy. You know, kind of reminds me of Chris, you know, that dog at the line and be able to bump and run and actually play that tight man coverage. I really like this game a lot watching it thus far.
A couple of names that we could hear on draft night for the Broncos. It looks like Phil Milani, though, has Coach Fangio standing by. Phil, what's going on over there in your world?
Thank you very much, Matt. Yeah, we're here with head coach Vic Fangio. Vic, you're heading into your third draft here in Denver. You nudging George, say, hey, how about a defensive player this time, huh?
No, not really. You know, we're picking at 9. You know, we'll get the best player, the best fit, and trust in George there. But obviously, I've put my 2 cents in a few times.
George says the phones have been ringing. It's been hectic the last hour. How have you spent today?
Yeah, it's been hectic. I mean, really for the last day, 2 days, you know, a lot of calls have been made. George has been fielding a lot of calls from other general managers around the league. You know, a lot of people wanting to come up to our pick potentially. And we'll see how it shakes out.
Well, you guys didn't wait to make any moves. You went out and made a trade for Teddy Bridgewater. What do you like about his game?
I like Teddy, having coached against him a couple times, you know, just last year with Carolina and seeing him throughout his career. I've always admired his game. I think he's a very capable quarterback. He's got really good quarterback instinct. He's a good leader. The players seem to rally around him, and we're excited to have him.
Now, we heard that you guys all went golfing yesterday. Is that true?
I didn't go. I didn't join them. Okay. But I should have.
I was going to say, who got the nod?
I don't know. I didn't get the report back yet. But I heard that our scouting staff is not quite really very good at golfing.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that John's got to bring up their score, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Vic, thank you very much. Good luck tonight. Let's go back to you guys in the studio.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Phil. Man, I'd love to do a round of golf with Coach Fangio. Anybody else, right? All right, guys, don't forget to be sure to continue to check into our Broncos virtual war room presented by Bud Light today, tomorrow, throughout the entire weekend, because it would be inundated. It will be inundated with all the draft content your heart could ever desire. So you guys can go to @Broncos on Twitter and Instagram, search Denver Broncos on Facebook and YouTube, and you guys can also go to denverbroncos.com for all of that amazing content. Okay, guys, now this is something that we weren't sure if it was going to happen tonight, but we are so glad to be joined by Denver Broncos safety Justin Simmons, who is coming at us live from the Broncos Boys and Girls Club in Denver. Hey, Justin, how are things going?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Okay, where's the crowd? Where are the kiddos?
Oh, did they move? Oh, we got a couple here. Bring
some in. We want to see these kids.
We got a few here. A few of them, I think most of them are working on a project, and then we're all coming to hang out to watch the first pick, and then obviously who we pick and all the picks for the rest of the night. So.
Well, Justin, you've been a pillar in our community since the first day you got here to Denver. Why is the Boys and Girls Club so important to you?
Yeah, I feel like, well, obviously my wife and I have been really big on just our youth in general, and I feel like at the Boys and Girls Club, just being familiar with it was kind of brought up in that, just in my childhood. And I just know how important it is to just not just like to just show up and, you know, take a couple pictures, just be there one time, but to like just be there consistently and just, you know, befriend all the kids that are here and hanging out, and just have someone to look up to and to admire. And it's just been so much fun to hang out and to get to know the kids, and top of all that, they're just amazing leaders. And I think they have so many great ideas, and the passion that they have for their communities is something that drives me to want to do better, not only, you know, for myself and for my family, but for the community as well.
Well, I've seen how those kids interact with you the second you walk into that building. I'm sure they're grabbing onto you and maybe sharing some of their, you know, hopes and anticipations for tonight's NFL draft. Did anybody say anything who they're hoping the Broncos pick? Did they give you any indication of what they want to happen here?
Oh, there's a bunch of wild picks here. I'm glad none of them are GMs, because they're left, right. I want this guy. There's no unity around who they want. It's all over the place, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes draft night fun. So it's been a joy so far. I'm excited for the rest of the night.
Really quick, just because we've asked everybody on the show, initial impressions of Teddy Bridgewater joining the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've been a huge admirer of Teddy's game from afar ever since when I remember playing ball in high school. He played for Miami Northwestern, and you know, I just always looked up to him, man. He was always a great talent, and followed his career to Louisville, and then obviously to the professional level. And so I'm just really excited for him, and I think he's going to be a great guy that for Drew to learn under, and it'll be cool. I'm really excited for him.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for hopping on with us live here on Broncos Draft Live. We so appreciate it. Have so much fun with the kids. I'm sure we will see you soon.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you so much for having me.
See you, Justin. All right, guys, let's go ahead and send it down to Matt Boyer, who is standing by with the Broncos lead writer, Eric Dalala.
Gotta turn on my microphone. You think at this point in the draft we'd figure things out, Eric? Let's talk a little bit about the Broncos' previous drafts, because you got to figure out what's happened previously to figure out maybe where they're going tonight. I know the Broncos have valued offensive picks a lot in the past couple of years. How do you think that influences maybe their thinking tonight? You've got guys like Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy in the first round. How do you think that affects what the Broncos might do tonight?
Well, you've seen the last 5 first and second round picks have been offense. 7 of the last 8 top 50 picks have been offense. And so you'd think maybe it's time to go defense. Bradley Chubb has been really the only guy in the top 50 that you have taken in that order. So really it would make sense to go defense. But Matt, you've got to think that there are still some really good offensive players out there. You've got Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater at tackle. That could really upgrade a need. Of course, we still don't know what we have with Drew Lock. And so if you look at one of these quarterbacks that's on the board, that could make a lot of sense. And so despite all the capital that you've spent on offense, you could still give them that little boost and get all the way there.
Yeah, a lot of exciting names still left on the board for the Broncos. Let's toss things back up to Alexis, who is standing by with Mike Renner.
Joining me now to share some insight into how the Teddy Bridgewater acquisition here for Denver might impact the first round, we have lead draft analyst from Pro Football Focus, Mike Renner. Mike, thank you so much for being here on what I'm sure is a busy night for you and the PFF team.
Oh, busy, but I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's my favorite weekend of the year.
Exactly. We are loving it. Well, first off, as we take a look at your final mock, you have the Broncos trading up to number 4 to take Justin Fields. But I have a feeling you put that out before the Teddy Bridgewater trade happened. Am I right?
I did, yes. I think that might quell the desperation, but I don't think it takes him out of the quarterback market entirely. So maybe trading up to 4 might be a little high to go up and get a guy, but if they fall down to 6, 7, I could see them still being players in the trade market for a quarterback.
So what are some of the ways that you think Denver can actually land one of these top 5 quarterbacks?
It's going to be interesting. I think they're going to go quickly. Like, I don't think if they just sit at 9 that they'll be able to get one because of the desperation of teams like Washington sitting at 19, teams like the Patriots at 15. I think everyone knows that they want and need a quarterback of the future, and are going to move heaven and earth to do so. Now, the Broncos they got an insurance plan with Teddy Bridgewater, but that's not the guy. I mean, the Panthers knew that wasn't the guy. They didn't obviously give up much to do so. He's not going to count too much against their cap. They didn't give up a massive draft pick to go get him. But that's because, again, he's not taking you to the promised land. It's kind of just if Drew Lock, doesn't necessarily work out, or if we can't make a trade work out for this quarterback class, you've got some insurance there.
Hypothetically, the Broncos stay at number 9. Is there a guy that you can see sliding that far?
That's tough because, like I said, the quarterback class is going to dictate a lot of this, a lot of who goes where. The guy I would kind of have my fingers crossed, hoping falls there if like I said, the quarterback class is gone by then, would be Penei Sewell from Oregon. That would be the ideal scenario, I think, for the Denver Broncos if you really are just committed to Drew Lock and having him be the quarterback of the future and giving him the best offensive line. Yeah, you got a couple tackles already, but I think if you could create a dominant sort of offensive line is what that would be with him and Garrett Bowles, I think you might as well go ahead and do that.
So is it safe to say Penei Sewell is and could be the BPA for the Broncos when they pick at 9?
Yeah, I think him or Rashawn Slater, the offensive tackle class, those two guys you feel very good about them and how they project to the NFL. There's some wide receivers too, but obviously I don't think the Broncos are going to be in the wide receiver market after last year and what they have.
If you could pick one guy to land here in Denver, who is the best team fit in this draft class?
I mean, it's a quarterback. And like I said, that's why I haven't traded up to number 4 for Justin Fields. I think that is the best fit for them. What he brings to the table and the fact that he is, quote unquote, sliding down draft boards. I don't know why exactly. You go watch him at Ohio State in the playoffs this past year, he dominated. He has all the tools in the world. So that would be the guy that I think the dream scenario for the Denver Broncos in this one.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Have fun tonight. We'll see you soon.
For sure, Alexis. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. All right, we're just less than 3 minutes away from the start of the 2021 NFL Draft. Here's a look inside the Denver Broncos draft room. You see George Paton, the whole staff geared up, ready to go, fired up. John Elway there in the corner as well. It's going to be a big night here for the Denver Broncos. But before we get out of your hair, first, one more time, I have to check in with our Broncos Draft Live crew to get final thoughts. Phil, what are your expectations here for round 1?
It looked like it was calm inside that war room, but I don't think it really is. I mean, if you're following the news on Twitter right now, it sounds like the last hour has been pretty hectic. Even getting a chance to talk to both George Paton and Vic Fangio, they said the phones have been ringing. I'm expecting something to happen here. A lot of them have said that teams are calling about moving up to the number 9 pick. I think the Broncos might be active here in the trade market, whether or not it's to move up for a quarterback, whether it's to stay put and take the best player available, or to move back, or potentially something else. I think that whatever happens, the next 45 minutes or so here as we get closer and closer to the draft is going to be very exciting for Broncos country. Sydney?
Phil, I know you're excited. I'm excited. We're excited to see what the drama will be. And guys, make sure to stick around because whoever our first round draft pick will be live right here on our Broncos draft live show. I'll be interviewing him, so you'll get a first look at his reaction. Matt, what are your final thoughts?
Sydney, I can't wait to see who that pick actually is. As you mentioned, I can't wait to be a part of that show as well. And I think that, like Phil mentioned, I think we could might expect to see some type of trade, maybe, as Mike Silver mentioned, cornerback, offensive lineman, something maybe a little bit later on in the first round. I think that would make a lot of sense for the Broncos, Alexis.
Well, thanks so much, Matt. All right, guys, that'll do it for the very first Broncos Draft Live presented by Bud Light. But that is not all of it tonight. Be sure to tune back in 10 minutes after the pick is made right here to whatever social and digital platform that you are on. We will have instant reactions from George Payton, Vic Fangio, Noah Fant, Steve Atwater, David Bruton, and like Sydney mentioned, an interview with the first round selection. We will see you right back here in just a little bit.